Everyone, this is Tabitha Vedrine, and I'm presenting my fashion showcase project Rework, which is a all-inclusive fashion showcase that is put on by my brand, and what I'm proposing today. First off, I want to introduce myself. So, who am I? I'm a mixed media artist and designer located in Brooklyn. By the end of the summer, I will have my degree in drawing and painting from University of North Texas. I'm a process-based artist, which basically means that I'm kind of an intuitive worker when it comes to art. I primarily focus on my work on the body and how it interacts with different forces, as well as how I approach my work, which would be in like a playful and dynamic way, sort of like a child or childlike mark making with deeper undertones, and explorations of depth, color, line, etc. Ultimately, I'm very experimental. I confine myself by some limitations, but overall, I am just somebody that adapts from my mistakes along the way and kind of learns from them. So here's just an example of some of my previous painting work. These two I feel like kind of introduce, how my painting is transferred into my clothing and how I use all of my skills I've learned in drawing and painting to inform how I make clothes and kind of the silhouettes that I come up with. Very dynamic, lots of color, mixed media, kind of crazy. So what is Project Rework? Well, it is basically the final showcase of my 20-piece collection that I've been working on, focusing on recycling, reimagining, repurposing found and donated objects and materials, inspired by quilting and painting techniques, because I believe that quilting and painting are really similar, and I just like the idea of reusing, repurposing, reimagining. That's just a theme that I have throughout all of my artwork. And here in the picture here is an example of one of my pieces. So here we're going to dive into my SMART goals for my project Rework idea. Basically, just the specifics, what I need to do, what's achievable, and what's relevant within my project. Basically, I want to launch my brand in its entirety as a fashion brand with the finished 20-piece collection, and with the showcase, obviously the Project Rework showcase, where there's models and photography and documentation. People can come and buy and see the work. And then use the documentation to put in my portfolio to sell and use as reference for pieces in the future. Basically, in order to do this, I need to research and draft the pieces that I want in the showcase, as well as look at places for ample studio space. Where I am now, there's not a lot of space, especially for a big sewing kind of endeavor like this. It will take a lot to kind of put it on, just because the materials take up a lot of space. As well as creating a plan for how I want the showcase to be and scouting models. I want this to be a very inclusive showcase where all different sizes, bodies, races, genders, everything. I just think that that's where fashion should be and where it's going, and it's really important to consider that to make this a very versatile event. And then also networking for spaces to properly showcase this work. This is going to be considered wearable artwork, and I want some of the more like weirder, unique pieces to really have like moments to shine, as well as trying to do this within at least a 3-month production time, just with really focusing and making sure all of the work is professional and good, and allowing time to scout that showcase spot. I do believe with an artist residency, some studio opportunity, I can have that space to work in, as well as have the opportunity to collaborate with other artists that are around that are in the residency. And then with that, maybe promote the event through my existing social media or my functioning website. Overall, just kind of creating that community-based, network from the beginning. Also, I do feel like this project is relevant because it's contributing to a low-waste clothing production type of mode here. The fast fashion industry contributes a lot to our environmental problems and ethical problems, and it's just overall kind of taking over, and it's not very good. And I want to be part of something that has a more altruistic kind of view that can still be an exploration of my own personal artistic experience, but also, including other people and other voices in that. And it's upcycling, so it's very relevant now, especially slow fashion in general. So I want to delve into my SWOT analysis, my strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. Kind of similar to my SMART goals, but overall, I think the strengths is the purpose of this project and how low cost it will be since most of the materials will be donated, and also low waste because I'm going to be using everything that I get, as well as the personal portfolio development outside of, my undergraduate degree. I think this is just what I want to continue doing, and contributing to like a diverse, collection, diverse type of art making. I do know that this is highly competitive, and it's highly competitive, especially for artist residencies. I think COVID had a lot to do with that as well. And there's just so many people applying, especially in the area that I live in. And I don't have a lot of experience. I mean, I've been in school, and that's pretty much it. I've worked under artists, but, I'm definitely ambitious enough to keep going, keep doing. I do think it could be a situation where I take on too many responsibilities and maybe overwhelm myself. But I think that comes with accurate, good planning and everything to kind of avoid that. Also, this will allow me an opportunity to document my work in a professional setting and have the feedback from other professional photographers and people that I reach out to that can help me document a new type of work, since I'm used to documenting paintings, document like a 3D kind of space, as well as maybe allowing opportunities for artist collabs, profit for sales, adding to my website, really just maximizing outreach there. I do think a threat might be that my skill set might not allow for maximum size inclusivity, but more as not necessarily being able to produce a ton just because it's just me, which, I think adds to the slow fashion factor. It just might be, I might be taking on too much. Also, upcycling and reworking can be viewed as trendy, which is not necessarily bad, but it could kind of, put a different label on this kind of project. I'm wanting it to be more of an inclusive art, wearable art, functional kind of fashion brand, not necessarily something trendy, but I do take inspiration from trends. And then also just the fast fashion response and how it's affecting the environment and kind of small businesses like this. And it could be too niche. My focusing on my own artistic development could be too personalized. So, who is the target population? I would say everyone. I mean, I want this to be an all-inclusive type of apparel, scouting models of all ages, genders, sizes, races. This is what I have for right now. These are, my friends and family that have contributed to some of the current pieces that I have, but obviously I want to keep, looking around and extending invitations to those who are also kind of artists and imaginative and work in the same way as me to do future collaborations and keep it inclusive. Some of my future projections with my short-term goals, allowing that 3 to 6 month time to produce and find a residency or a funded practice for my collection, and then leading to that final showcase of the work at the end of the production time, and then allowing some time to like accurately and nicely document my pieces for my portfolio, and then have these opportunities added to my resume. I decided to take a year off from going to grad school. I was going to go, but I wanted to take some time to kind of make some work outside of school and then apply within a year. And I think this opportunity will really allow me to kind of jumpstart that direction with grad school, as well as meet other artists. Some future projections for the long term are apprenticing or interning in a prominent slow fashion brand in New York, and receiving my MFA in studio. I deferred my admission to the School of Visual Arts, so I most likely want to go there. Some kind of merit-funded education, maybe state-funded, further establish with my brand, and hopefully make a sustainable income off of that. And then maybe employ an assistant or an agent or somebody to help me kind of network and produce and reach out and make sure my professionalism and social media and website's still good and I don't take on too many responsibilities. And then just consistently being a member of the New York artistic community, participating in vending events, going to other artist shows, doing artist trades, and then further technically reaching my sewing skills and purchase the industrial sewing machines that I would eventually need. They are just expensive, So one of the funding strategies that I have been coming up with and kind of talking about this whole time was community-based funding, also community-based outreach. I mean, this would probably be the bulk of the funding that I would get. GoFundMe, Kickstarter, direct funding through the community, even outsourcing my donations, driving my materials, just involving the community in this process. This will just overall really help me network, share my story, meet other artists with the same goals, find that community that I've been talking about, and then I've been already kind of working at this by doing artist trades. So I've been reaching out to artists that I like, sending them some products, and we've been trading, and then we've been reposting each other just to reach out that network there. And then also eventually hopefully find the venue or place where I would have my showcase. Another idea for a funding strategy would be an individual-based funding, whether it be a family member or an investor, somebody that would want to kind of help financially develop this project with or without return investment. I am selling items, so it's up to the discretion of how much financial help there will be. Reach out to the people who could invest in these kind of things, who have a affinity for the arts, who want to support the arts, and personal artist development. That way I would have to explain my mission, my budgets, keeping it low cost overall since my materials are going to be donated. I don't necessarily want the materials to be super expensive. I just want more of an opportunity to showcase. My biggest concern here is my studio space and having that being able to be affordable and more versatile, to just allow myself some space to kind of work and fun, or have the time to work on this project. I know that there are also opportunities for corporate philanthropy funding. I've been looking more in the artist residency territory. I've been looking at the Elizabeth Foundation of Arts in New York. They provide studio spaces at market cost for artists. You just have to apply. This one is kind of a competitive strategy for funding just because there's a lot of people requesting it and involved with it. And whether this be funding for a studio space or volunteer work just for the showcase, either way, I think those are what my strategies would be geared toward for this. As well as just receiving some funding would help, or with just like some planned development or outside help here. So the current status of the project, Rework, and my reflections. Right now, I am actively searching for residencies and affordable studio spaces outside of my current space. Reaching out to different artists. Like I said, I'm doing this artist trades, talking to other artists around the community, making prototypes for the pieces, and just sourcing my materials for now. Experimenting with garment silhouettes and construction, trying to push my limits a little bit, and then making my website really professional and easy to use, and just kind of keeping my social media updated to have that network base. And then learning that the spaces aren't cheap. That's why I need the funding, you know? That good pieces take time, and time in the studio is really important to me. And just being patient, and I'm learning that putting myself out there is the best thing, and asking for help, as well as taking a break. And sometimes taking a break goes with daily planning or whatever that may be. I think that's where, you know, I get a lot of the work done if I take a break. My future plans moving forward, I would love to participate in artist residency where there are other artists working around, funded if possible, where I can just have that still kind of critique space that I'm used to, and the space to work by being in school. And then networking, participating in vending events. I've done a lot of vending events in Denton, so just want to keep that going. I always love doing those. Helps me kind of meet and see what kind of art's being made right now. Continuing to make work, keep my website up to date, putting myself out there. And then I think it's really important creating a clear spreadsheet of expenses, budgets, costs, just to keep it all up to date, especially for taxes. And then working on scouting models, photographers, and places to rent. And then getting more versed in graphic media tools like Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe tools. I think those really help me a lot, just kind of work towards that professionalism. And then figuring out the community-based involvement, not necessarily funding. That I think is just gonna really, really help with this. Well, in conclusion, I think the impact of my project Rework would be the biggest thing being personal artistic development before I go to grad school, and brand expansion, and just kind of working in a new medium that's still kind of inspired by painting, but just kind of branching out a little bit, having that time to branch out with the funds involved, incorporating that into creating my brand a little bit more solidified, finding other artists to collaborate with and talk to and have that feedback with, because that's what I really value, as well as an opportunity for income. I mean, if I have this event, I can showcase my work, document it, and also hopefully sell the pieces at the end. Just give back to the community where I got things from. So I just want to say thank you. I hope this project was interesting to you. If you have any questions, thank you for watching.